everyone. Great to see you today. I'm in the wonderful Rocky Mountains, just off of the Poudre River, which is right back here behind me. It's such a fabulous day, and I want to share it all with you while we do some fantastic adaptive yoga. So, as usual, let's start with mindful breathing. And speaking of mindful, I've been thinking a lot about applying mindfulness in everyday life. And one thing I've definitely come to appreciate is that mindfulness is sometimes easier to practice when you uproot yourself from your normal environment and put yourself down in a different environment, especially one that's so full of nourishing sights and sounds and smells and feels. It's really quite easy and nice, honestly, to practice mindfulness when we get to be in these kind of environments. So I just want to keep encouraging you all to practice mindfulness wherever you happen to be right now. But please feel free to take in all of this and pretend that you're right here with me, smelling the smells, hearing the sounds, feeling the cool, crisp mountain air upon your skin, the earth beneath your feet, birds chirping, rivers flowing, things going on in a pretty sleepy mountain scene all around you.
And then we'll start to activate our bodies just a bit more while staying mindful to these senses of ours. Let's go ahead and shrug your shoulders up towards your ears with your next inhalation. And exhale, go ahead and let those go. And again, nice full inhale, squeezing up, and exhale, letting go. Maybe one more time. Maybe you can bring up just a little bit more all through this upper body, shoulders, neck, even your arms, and then really let it go. And with that, shaking your arms on out beside you, and let's get into some shoulder swirls, shoulder rolls coming around in a way that feels good. Keeping your breath flowing. And maybe you're feeling really good in those shoulders today. Or at least one that's feeling like it might be up for doing a little bit more of this full, complete range of motion. But do feel free to modify it anytime you need to. You can feel good. And then finally, we'll just go ahead and pause and shake out once again. Let's bring our awareness into our hands now. Taking some nice full breaths, rubbing them, squeezing them, giving them some awakening movements, support perhaps. And then maybe even taking these hands of yours and slowly rubbing up and down the tops of your thighs here, and this part of your body as well. Good. And then sitting upright nice and tall, you might even be able to put your hands somewhere on the side of your chair to give you just the slightest bit of boost to sit up nice and tall. And then let's pick up your right leg for a moment to wake up this lower leg, ankle, foot, even your toes, getting some movement there. Pointing and flexing, circling, direction that feels good to you. Taking another few full, complete breaths of you. Enjoying this movement and really focusing on the right foot, ankle, and toes. Very good. And then when you're ready, we'll place that one on down. Again, sit upright nice and tall. Feel the breath. Tune into your senses. And when you're ready, picking up your left leg a little bit so you can really start to awaken that foot, that ankle, all these toes. That's it. Keeping it going. Appreciating the connection. Appreciating what range of motion you can comfortably do. Of course, just taking note if things are different on this side than they were on the other side. Perfectly normal. Not a problem. Just worthy of your awareness and attention for now. And then when you feel complete with that left foot of yours, go ahead and place it on back down and just feel again the connection below the soles of your feet. Imagine that you may be connecting your feet down into some soft mountain grass and just feeling the energy of the earth way up very close to the Continental Divide. Your feet are on the earth and you're grounded and you are well supported. You're going to keep on moving, gradually reconnecting to more and more of your amazing body. Good backstroke kind of rolls you're doing here. Full, complete breaths. Notice how you feel. Maybe you can get a little bit bigger with these movements. Full, complete breaths. See how it feels. Maybe one shoulder needs a little something different than the other one. Maybe you want to really just focus on that one shoulder that might need a little bit more of that rehabilitation. Really paying attention. See what the other one feels like. And then finally you can let those shoulders relax, kind of balance out as you shake out a little bit more. And again, let's bring those hands on up, giving them a little bit more of that awareness, connection, movement, squeeze, massage. Maybe you're helping to support some of those fingers that don't really want to extend quite as much. Maybe keep it pain-free, of course, but providing loving support. Then, when you feel ready, let's go ahead and place those hands in close together, palms lining up, fingers pointing as much upward towards the sky as you can as you bring your hands in close to your heart center. Take a few nice, full, complete breaths. And then let's get into our full round of Robin's breath here next. So, inhaling up through the length of your spine. And as you exhale, extend your arms a little bit forward. And you might also like to tuck your chin downward. When you're ready, inhaling, opening out wide. And exhaling, coming forward. Inhaling, coming back into your heart center with a lovely smile on your face. You might close your eyes, say your mantra, your affirmation statement, whatever feels good. And then we'll go for another round. When you're ready, take a nice full inhalation with a smile. Exhale, extend your arms forward, tucking your chin. Inhaling, opening out nice and wide. Maybe you're going to look up and blink. And exhale, bringing it forward once again, tucking your chin down. And inhale with a lovely smile, coming back into your heart center. So go ahead and place your left hand down on the side of your chair. And for the right side as well, just for now, because next I want us to lengthen up through our spine, start to feel a little bit more stable through the deep core as you choose to lean and shift your body from right to left, any degree that feels good to you. Good. Maybe this is also helping you inch a little more forward on the seat of your chair, helping out, giving yourself a little more room perhaps to work with. That's it. And then once again, let's go ahead and balance it out. Balance it out real good between your right and your left hip joints, and also maybe those sits bones down below your pelvis. Inhaling up through the fullest length of your spine. Again, your right hand can be over here on the left hand on the right side of your chair, and then the right arm can start to reach up into the sky to any degree that feels good. Maybe you want to keep it a short lever. Maybe you want to support that arm in some way. Maybe it's with your left hand coming across here to help you find a comfortable degree of extension. Taking in full, complete breaths as you continue to explore, and then also adding in some movements with your hand, wherever that may be. Right hand out or up, moving through all those fingers, just appreciating that dexterity. And maybe you don't even see your hand, but you know that it's moving in some creative ways out there. Excellent. You're nice and fully connecting with your breath on a full inhalation. We'll maybe stretch up just a little bit more, and let's exhale slowly with an all the way through and down, where you can shake out once again. Shake out through those arms, hands, feel through your shoulders. Good. Now, before we go over to your left shoulder, let's wake up the lower body again with our awareness, lifting your toes, lifting your heels, away from the ground, away from the floor as much as they can, alternating if you like. One side your heels lifted, the other side your toes are lifted. Yeah. Feel through that movement as rhythmic as possible. Very good. And then let's go ahead and plant your heels down, and then all the way through the rest of your feet and your toes, making that lovely contact as you come to sit up nice and tall once again. Then maybe your right hand will be over on the side of the chair here, and then you explore left shoulder, left arm, finding any degree of extension that feels good to you. Bringing it down or more forward. Maybe you're wanting to give yourself some support. This shoulder may be very different in what it needs than the other one, so take your time breathing and exploring here. And then paying attention as well with all those left fingers of yours, wherever they may be. Let's move through them. Try to get each and every one of them to move and do something. Maybe you're touching a thumb to a finger and then stretching it out and then going to the next one. Or just playing that air piano somewhere up there, and appreciating that your nervous system is functioning and you're aware of that movement going on, really fine motor movements happening, or maybe you don't even see that hand. Just feeling it, sensing it, appreciating it, and then with your next inhalation, really take that stretch up as far as you comfortably can. And then let's exhale with an ooh all the way down. Here we go. Ooh. All the way down and through. Where you can shake out once again. Feel more balanced in your body, your shoulders. And taking some nice full complete breaths. Maybe these ones can be maybe a little bit more down deeper into your lungs so that you feel your belly expanding outward in all directions as you inhale. Exhale, bring it in. Awesome. Taking in the scents, the smells, the sights, the sounds. Good. And then once again, placing your hands on the sides of your chair, just again to give you a little boost to sit up nice and tall. Feel yourself rooted and grounded pretty equally down through each of your sits bones. And then let's start to tone and strengthen that much more in some rocking motion, slowly going back and forth. Maybe your hands are on the sides of your chair, maybe your hands are on your thighs, maybe you could hold it in that backward lengthening lean just a few breaths here and really feel the strength, really feel the tone, then come back upright and go through more slow, gentle rocking. Yes, good. Or just finding that upright, lengthened spine position and really feeling that deep core strength inside here, even including your pelvic floor. And with that knowing, with that engagement, you're also breathing. Can be a little tricky sometimes, especially as we might start to amp things up just a little bit more here for us. Alternate heel lifts. That could also turn into more strengthening to lift each leg rhythmically. Maybe you want to support it with your hands, or maybe you can have your hands on the sides of your chairs. You might start to amp it up a little bit more if that feels good. Opposite feet kind of stomping on down to the floor beneath them. Just make sure it's not painful for any of your joints, but definitely it should feel an awakening kind of intensity through the soles of your feet, and that is what we would like to have happening. And if it causes pain anywhere, of course, we're not going to do that. Find a pain-free way of moving through your body. Keep exploring. And then, of course, we've got even a more complex range of motion here. I'm going to slow my marching steps down just a little bit here so I can really find that coordinated movement of my upper body, doing little opposite arm curls. Trying to really balance that out with my marching legs and feet. That's it. Now feel free to amp it up a little bit more if you want to, knowing that this is our warm-up. We want to keep warming up. Good, but we don't want to go into exhaustion, of course, so keeping an eye on things, how it feels throughout your body. Make sure you're able to breathe. And then whenever you are starting to feel that sensation of warmth or fatigue, might be in certain locations in your body, just pay attention to that. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we don't want to overdo it. So whenever you do feel like you've got that warmth, you've got that sensation, you're finding your breath and taking a pause whenever it feels most right for you. And let's take a few moments to mindfully breathe as you connect down through the soles of your feet once again, lengthen up through your spine. Maybe you want to rest hands on your body, maybe on your belly, maybe on your chest as you really focus into your breathing. And again, take in all these wonderful mindful awarenesses that you have in your environment, or you can share in all of mine. Good. And then you can let your arms relax on down, or maybe on the sides of your chair, sitting upright nice and tall. You feel that your chin is about parallel to the floor or so. Then you can start to turn slowly through your neck, just your neck. Feel through. Maybe there's a few little pops and cracks that need to work their way out there. Maybe it wants to click or pop whenever you do turn a certain way, and just pay attention to that. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but hopefully doing these regular neck exercises that we do here in these classes, you'll find that we can work some of that out, and so it's not always popping and clicking. And some of you may find that just doing a little bit more of this mindful movement really does the trick to help to realign, restabilize those cervical vertebra and all of the supportive connective tissues to allow you to turn your head. And of course you're looking, feeling through your eyes as well, staring in this gorgeous mountain environment with me if you'd like to, as you turn, blinking, looking, and turn, blinking, looking until you feel complete. Then you can point your nose straight on ahead once again. Take another few full, complete breaths as you feel yourself balancing out with all that wonderful length, finding your breath. And then I'd like us to go through a few more rounds of Robin's breath, please. So when you're ready, bringing the hands together, in close to your heart center, smile with your next inhalation. And as we exhale, let's go ah, as we extend the arms out in front, meaning you're tucking your chin down, ah. Then when you start to inhale, let's do ooh, looking up, expanding wide. And then ah, again, as you reach forward and tuck your chin. And then a smile brings your hands back into your heart center. Ah, find that exhalation. Let's do another round of that. Let's maybe exaggerate those sounds a bit more. So starting with an inhale here at your heart center, lengthen spine. Exhale, ah. Inhale, exhale, ah. Inhale, smile back to your center, full, complete breaths. Shake your arms on out beside you. Take in some nice breaths just to feel your body coming back into what feels like pretty good alignment. And then let's do our alternate heel lifts. Good. And or marching steps once again. These marching steps we might challenge to go out just a little bit wider, and they're stepping maybe 4 or 5 times, and then come back to more parallel. Do feel free to keep supporting your legs as you find a little bit of a wider step march, and then back in, and a little bit wider, and then back in. Very good. Now plant your feet, sit upright nice and tall, do a few rocking motions back and forth, feel your strength, feel your tone. Very good. Well done. And then taking your pause to sit upright nice and tall, maybe even doing a little bit more of these side to side movements. Perhaps that can help you feel like you really are stable on your chair seat, because what I might ask you to do next is locate your stick prop. For many of you, that might be your broomstick, your walking stick, your hockey stick. I often at home use my unused curtain rod, but here up in the mountains, I have a stick, a fire poking stick. I thought that would be a good replacement for those of you that like to use your stick for some of these exercises we have going on ahead, but all of them can be easily modified without it. So obviously the reason why I wanted you to be strength and toned and well connected is that many of you might have your stick down in a location that you kind of need to maneuver to bring back and up and into your upright seated position strongly with your stick resting on your thighs to start. So we all have different types of things going. Some of them may want to roll very easily up and down the tops of your thighs, others may not. My stick has a few little knobbies on it, so you know it's working well enough for me today. And then finally, let's take that stick in an overhand grasp, about shoulders width apart. Good. And then let's just bring it in pretty close to your heart center here. So we're going to keep the elbows bent and close, sit up nice and tall, then start to extend the arms up a little bit more. Maybe it's to nose level, maybe it's to forehead level, maybe it could go up a little bit higher. Just pay attention to how you feel, what your shoulders really want to do or not, and then slowly bring it back down to your heart center. Very good. Now bring it out in front of you just a little bit more, and let's create a little X shape going diagonal out in front of you to some degree. So you can just keep it pretty small right there in front. You can change your hand position on your stick. But let's explore this kind of range of motion. I'm starting to do it a little bit more fluidly, as you can see, and see how that feels for you. Now let's bring it back into your heart center, or maybe 5 or 6 inches out in front. Sit up nice and tall. Feel your strong, deep core, very engaged and toned as you find your rocking motion back and forth. How that feels good to you. Now having the stick up here might bring you in a little bit more of a challenge for some. That's kind of the idea. But of course, if it's better for you, you can always put your stick down on your thighs and find your rocking motion that really does feel good to you. And then finally, we'll be sitting upright nice and tall. Full, complete breaths. Now maybe you want to do a little bit for your hands. If you can roll your hands up and down your thighs or up with your stick, or just rub your hands up and down your thighs with no stick, or maybe you'd like to do a little bit of prayer position, lining up the fingers, going back and forth. Or, of course, there's always good old starfish push-ups, which we'll have a chance to do more of, any or all of these, as we go through our class here today. Good. And then once again, overhand grasp on your stick. Make it pretty balanced as best as you can here. And now if we want to, we can start to extend a little bit up, maybe say towards your chin or nose. Then reach that stick out in front just as far as is comfortable, and then bring it back in towards your belly, up your chest, up to your chin or your nose, and out again. So we're doing a circular motion. Big, wide circle. Or you might need to be keeping yours just a little bit more Small and subtle out in front of you, still a great exercise. Then adding in more complexity, if you would like to, rocking. As you move your stick forward or up and forward, then you're rocking forward. As you rock back a bit, you're pulling that stick in close, moving up towards your chest, your chin, your nose, to go back out again. Now, there's lots of degrees of subtlety or challenge that you could bring in. If you want more challenge, maybe you could reach out and down just a little bit more, or leaning back and holding it there for a little bit, and really coming out and down. That's more complexity and challenge for the whole body to accomplish, and you definitely want to be paying attention to see if it's okay, especially for your back and your shoulders. And then you've also got a little bit more of a subtle version all the time. Maybe you're not rocking very much, maybe just a little bit, and keeping your circular rowing out here in front of you a little more subtle. Good. Okay, then we'll come back to sitting upright, nice and tall. Full, complete breaths. Maybe placing that stick on back down to your thighs. Maybe you're going to roll with it. Maybe you're going to rub those hands on your thighs, or coming together in a prayer position up in front to do a little side-to-side extension and flexion, or starfish push-ups. Good. We might need to call these Rocky Mountain spider push-ups, even though they don't tend to get very big up here, you know, but that's okay. That's it, and then shaking on out, see how things are feeling. Okay, next, let's go ahead and come underhand on this stick of yours, and holding it about shoulders width apart or so. We'll just do some basic little curls, curling with the arms here, see how that feels. Good. Excellent. And then we can just kind of hold it steady here for a moment. Now I want to reconnect with our lower body. So either alternate heel lifts. Good. Or marching steps. Good. Yeah, and just kind of see if you could do a little side-to-side movement with your stick. Or if you're not using your stick, or if this doesn't feel right to you, maybe just alternate arm curls with your marching steps, like we did in our warm-up. That's it. Very good. Doesn't have to be coordinated all that well, I can tell mine isn't, but it is some interesting novel movement. Good. And then plant your feet on down, sit upright nice and tall. Okay, placing that stick on down, you might be ready to shake out, move out, or go back for an overhand grasp, where we might be holding it up more at heart center or chin level. Remember those little diagonal movements that we did before? It does require a little bit more of your shoulders. Notice how my elbows are pointing out to the side more, and just see how that feels comfortable for you. Many people find that when they've got this stick, it's like one side can kind of help the other one out a little bit to get that more little, stable movement going through each shoulder, maybe a little bit more as if you weren't holding the stick there. So wanted you to try that out. Now let's get back to marching steps or alternate heel lifts. Feel your strong deep core, and especially let's get things fired up there if you're going to do a little diagonal as you march. Maybe it's coming out in front of you just a little bit more. Maybe you come in close for a few ones. Maybe you go out further away with a few ones. I'm trying to keep that mindful, rhythmic marching step going all the while. Not an easy task. Just give it your best shot. Good. Okay, and then let's go ahead and plant those feet on down. Sit upright nice and tall, and maybe you're ready to give your shoulders, your arms, your hands another little bit of a break. We paid a lot of attention to how our hands can kind of do a little counter movement and exercise after doing these kind of gripping things. Maybe you've got some others. Maybe you're ready to check in with your shoulders. Maybe there's double shoulder rolls. Maybe there's warming up, swirling shoulder rolls that we did before. What would feel really good to you? Very good. And then when you feel ready, back to your overhand grasp. Now, we could get a little bit more complex with our shoulder movements here, so really do pay attention. Some of you may want to go a little bit more narrow. maybe a little bit wider at times. So just kind of gauge, but starting at about shoulders width apart, I think is a good place to start. So we've done our diagonals. Now let's kind of try to trace a figure 8 on its side. So the infinity symbol here out in front of you. And notice how that feels. And you might begin to notice as the end of one side of your stick dips down and then the other end of the stick dips down. This is a movement that's quite a lot like paddling, especially paddling like in a kayak, single seated kayak here. You're just doing these alternate paddles to just move you gracefully forward in the water. Good. Then coming back to your upright seated position once again, sitting tall, taking a little bit of a break because next we might try that same maneuver with marching steps, so more complexity. So I'm going to start first by just getting those rhythmic movements going in my legs and feet, alternate heel lifts or marching steps. Now, I'm going to slow down my marching steps, which, by the way, doesn't make it easier necessarily. It just gives you a little bit more of that time to find your infinity symbol once again. Maybe you're rowing your kayak. Maybe you're keeping it really small out in front of you, just concentrating, as this maneuver absolutely will require that you do. Yes, not very many kayakers that paddle and march at the same time, so we're really going into advanced stuff here. Good. And then taking your pause when you feel ready. Even if you didn't get that fully coordinated, doesn't matter. Giving it a try, awakening your nervous system, that stimulation, that feeling of novel movement that really excites your brain and throughout your nervous system in very beneficial ways. Yes. Okay. Then from here, I might make it even more complex, so give yourself even more of these resting movements that feel really good to you, because the next thing I'm going to suggest you try is overhand grasp, shoulders width or so apart. You can always change it though. And then, so you knew what it felt like to row your kayak forward, right? That's a certain way of tracing your infinity symbol. Now, I'd like you to think about tracing it backwards so that you'd be like rowing your kayak backwards. Yeah, some of you can really dig down deep into the water on either side of your kayak. Others might be keeping it up here a little bit more. Just fine. Just find that rhythmic movement. Then you can either keep with this, because this could be a real challenge, or you could take it to a parallel position with the ground or the floor for you and see about possibly adding in either your alternate heel lifts or your marching steps. Then keep that going as best you can and row your kayak backwards, or trace that little infinity symbol out in front of you in the opposite direction. Worthy of good concentration here. Maybe you're getting it, maybe you're not. Either way, perfectly fine. Just attempting, or even just observing somebody else doing it can have some really good effects with the nervous system itself. Things that do fire up in your body and your brain when you observe somebody doing movements. All right, and then when you feel complete with all that, placing your feet on down, sitting upright nice and tall, using that stick to help you release through hands or shoulders in some way that would feel good, or letting it take a balanced rest somewhere where you can do exactly what really feels good to you. Rotating, whatever feels right. Okay, I believe you are all ready for a nice little resting break and stretch out some of these hard-working areas of the body that probably deserve it by now. And so this is going to be any type of seated forward fold that feels good to you. So if you have the stick, you could either just place it off to the side, or you could reach it down and forward, but just feel that strength of your deep core as you go to place that stick on down. And then some of you I know really love your bolster supported forward fold, so feel free to grab that prop, bring it over your thighs. Some of you just can hinge forward and prop yourself here with your elbows or forearms on your thighs and let things start to really relax. And of course, some could take it into even a deeper fold when you're kind of draping over your legs, your thighs. Taking some full, complete breaths. Again, practicing mindfulness. Not just all those amazing five senses of yours, but how your body is feeling, how you are breathing in this moment. Relaxing more and more with every exhalation as best you can. This could be a very soothing, relaxing, restorative pose. Holding it longer might help you get back into touch with other deeper areas of tension or tightness, soreness. The more you can relax and feel safe with full, complete breaths, the more the body is able and willing to do that. And some of you will decide that being here a little longer is probably the best thing for your body or your being in some way, so I encourage you to stay longer. But when you do feel ready to make your way on up, really feel all throughout the deep core, including your pelvic floor, spinal stabilizers, everything in there helping you out to eventually come to your upright seated position, not standing quite yet. Taking all the time you need just to come to seated. And if you happen to be within reach of your stick and you want to grab that on your way up, go for it. Just make sure that it really is a good, solid, strong movement that eventually brings you to your more upright seated position. Here you can just find your breath again, maybe do some shoulder rolls, forward, up, back and down. Balancing things out, however that feels right for you. Then we might be doing a little bit more in the stretch category after all that. Why don't we, either with your stick or just with your right hand over here on the right side of your chair, or the stick could possibly plant somewhere over there to your right. Maybe you're going to start with it pretty close in. Maybe eventually you might move it out a little bit further, because we're going to experiment with using this shoulder strength eventually to help support us in some useful ways. So one of the things I might suggest as we explore this possibility is, if you have your stick in your right hand, pick it up off the floor a few inches. That's it, good. And then just kind of move that stick out and in. See how that feels for your shoulder. Good. And then bring it to a steady place in pretty close. So shoulder lever going up and down to any degree. If it's painful, just leave it on back down there. You could also do some range of motion work with the end of the stick on the ground. Hopefully it won't be slipping away on you. So you do at some point want to experiment with how the stick adheres to the end of that stick to the floor beneath where you're putting it, because one of the next things that I might suggest is using that strength and stability and support of your right hand and arm and shoulder to move into a left side body stretch of any sort. So starting with mindful extension, coming on up and through, any degree that feels good. Again, you might be placing your hand on top of your head at some point here, because I'd like for you to feel that you're really opening on that left side of your body. Maybe you're using your right arm for a little extra support if that feels good. Reaching up and over, taking some full, complete breaths to really expand into your side body here. Breaths feel so good. And then eventually coming on upright and exhaling, lowering your left arm back down. Shake it out or rolling out, whatever feels good. Beautiful. Coming back to a centered squared off position. You're going to be bringing your stick kind of there right in the center once again, heart center, belly area, chin, forehead, any of things of those in between. And check in with each side of the body. The shoulders and your side body especially probably feel a bit different, one side to the other, perfectly fine. But with that awareness, let's start to experiment with what we could do, expanding your left side body. So it could be that your left hand is on the side of your chair here. Oh, we're going to be expanding right side body this time, or whatever the opposite is of yours. Maybe you want to make use of your stick, finding a place not too far off from you to place it in this perpendicular position, and feeling through your shoulder, your body's positioning, just by doing this. Then maybe testing out this shoulder a bit more. This is especially for those of us that are using a stick prop. You could be lifting it up a little bit off the ground and trying some in and out movement here. Maybe a little bit off to the side. See how that feels for your shoulder. Keeping it a shorter lever if you need to keep that shoulder to feel more stable. Another option is to lift it up and down. Or if any of that is feeling problematic to you, then keeping that end of the stick down on the ground, hopefully it won't slip away on you as you move through any range of motion, out and into any diagonal that you'd like to explore. And of course, you're breathing. Good. Okay, now you've got a really good idea of what your left arm and shoulder could be happy with if you choose to use that for more support as we extend and open up your right side body. So lifting up and through your right arm, right shoulder to any degree. Remember, you've got these options. Lifting, extending, keeping it lower, keeping it in closer, and then just see if your left arm and shoulder are up for helping you be a little bit more stable, especially if you want to open up through your right side body just a bit more. Taking deep full breaths will really help you. You don't really need to go very far. Find what works best for you, holding for maybe 3 or so full, complete breaths. Feel good. Finally, taking your next inhalation, lengthening up and out, and exhale. Lower the right arm down. Finding your breath and bringing your stick or your body back to your more centered, squared off position. Maybe you've got the stick parallel here. Maybe you've got your hands on the sides of your chair to give you a little boost. See how that helps. Shaking or rolling out, helping yourself out. And then once again, just taking a pause with mindful breaths to notice how you feel now from your right to left shoulder, right to left side body, how you're rooted and grounded, how you feel down all the way through your legs and into your feet. You might wiggle your toes a little bit more, move from your heels to your toes a few more times just to feel that awareness, that movement, and more connection down into the floor, the surface beneath you. And I don't think we've taken a hydration break today, so I'm going to encourage you to do that now. If you have your drink close by, making sure that you do engage through those deep core muscles. Maybe you're even turning your body a little bit to be able to reach over or down to get your drink. Appreciate your mindful swallowing capabilities as you do take that hydrating drink into your body, where your body is immediately saying, "Oh, thank you, I needed that. More of that, please." Good. Taking all the time you need, especially that swallowing, and placing your bottle or cup down in a good place where hopefully we won't be knocking it over. Happens though sometimes. Yes, good. And then when you're ready, coming back to your upright seated position, nice and tall. Okay, so next we get to slowly move through the Mindful Transition series, knowing that some of you might be wanting to come up off the chair a little bit or all the way to a standing position eventually, but we're going to cover each and every one of the steps in between before then, so you really know what your body, your whole being needs along the way, and you'll at least very much know how you need to be engaged anytime you are coming into this mindful transition. That this one initially is coming from a seated position towards a standing position, but there's a lot of other mindful transitions that are also very important and worth practicing, but we'll keep our focus here immediately on all the strength and all the awareness and coordination that it takes to come from your chair and into a full standing position, step by step by step, and practicing each one of the steps along the way. So some of you may still have your stick. Some of you may decide at any point that no, the stick is just going to get in your way. You'd rather just focus on your other useful props. Some of you can place your yoga block in between your knees here, giving that block a little bit of a squeeze. You'll feel undeniably the inner thighs coming up through the pelvis, the hips, the deep core, all the way through to help you as you are rocking. Yes, so squeezing your block. Maybe you've got your stick. Maybe you're doing some more of those rowing motions with your stick, or alternate arm, or no, this would be double arm curls I would suggest on this one here, because we are really trying to fire up each side of the body equally. So helping the right side and the left side work together. Yes, good. So rocking and really feeling full deep core engagement. This also gives you the opportunity to figure out where you are on the seat of the chair, and if you're pretty far back on the seat of the chair, you're going to want to take some maneuvers to bring you a little more forward on the seat of that chair. That will always help you get the leverage that you need to come out of your chair easier. Also, where your feet are planted really matters too. If your feet are too far out in front of you, then you're not going to get the leverage to come through the strength of the lower body to come to standing. You're just going to always be flopping right back into your chair, which we'd like to avoid. So having your feet so that your ankles are either right below your knees or maybe even back a little bit more and closer to your chair. And then if you want to use these little chair dip maneuvers to help you elongate up through your spine, feel strong, maybe they're also helping you inch up a little bit closer toward the front part of your chair. And that's another great step that I like us to practice in itself for this mindful transition, because this can be super helpful in getting you into the right place where you really can safely and gracefully come up and out of your chair. All right, so we did the chair dips. Also, if you have your stick, there is the option of using your stick, planting it on the floor out in front of you. Now, of course, if you are going to use your stick to help you get support to come up and say into your squatting position next, make sure that your hands are in a good position for your shoulders to use that stick where it is, and also that your end of your stick is not going to slip out off of the surface that's beneath it here, because then that is going to not be a very reliable support prop. Then you can always go back to your chair, your arms on your chair, those kind of things that we often do. So with the stick, you could do some rocking back and forth, check out where your feet are. Remember, the feet in a at least hips width apart or wider position is going to always be more stable as you become weight bearing into your foundation there. And with or without the stick, maybe you're ready to come into a little bit of a squat out of your chair. Some of you might be choosing to place your hands on the chair or keep them there even as you're holding your strong squat. So really feeling all of that deep core engagement. Just the squat is a really good, useful exercise to go through on a regular basis, because we need to regain or retain that strength and that ability for our everyday functionality, which means independence. Also practicing returning back to your chair seat with as much control as possible. So really try to avoid any of that flopping back down in your chair if you can help it, okay? So those are all very excellent, useful steps to continue to practice. And I would suggest too, at some point, especially if you want to come all the way to a standing position, you may or may not want the stick coming along with you. So I'm going to demonstrate without the stick first, because we don't often use that prop, but you certainly can. But I also really want you to be aware of how you can support yourself in your body, and with the really sturdy, reliable chair that you're coming out of, hopefully. They're not always, I know sometimes you're coming out of a rocking chair or something, so less reliable, but still you know you have this strength, you have this awareness, you love to practice this and keep that strength and body awareness for yourself to be able to do this and to be able to do this. And also for those that know eventually you're going to be needing to come to a standing position, coming up and then slowly sitting on back down. Finding your breath, feeling strong throughout your body. Good. And then eventually, let's all come back down to our chair to take a seat, because I'm going to give you a few different options here next for a little hip mobility exercise. One stays seated in the chair, so I'll start with that one. So mobilizing the hip joints, you can place your ankles right below your knees here, so you're nice and parallel, and then you can just do your right knee, guiding it out and in like this. Feel how that is for you, or you could do both at the same time. I'm going to first go over to my left side here to experiment with just that movement through the left side. Then if it feels pretty good, I might go ahead and experiment with out and in with both at the same time. Let's make sure we're not rotating at all through the knee or ankle joints. It's all up here in the hip joints. There we go, good. Now, of course, for those of you that decide to stay seated versus going to the standing option that I'll demonstrate here next, you could also go to the hip opening where you pick up one of your legs and guide it out and in to any degree that feels good. So those are other alternatives for those of you that choose to stay in the chair, which very much may be the safest or most appropriate thing for you at this time. If you would like a standing option, then with your stick, if you have it, now if you don't, I'm going to ask you to go and stand behind your chair, so you've got something in front of you like the stick, so that when you do come to standing, a strong squat hopefully, and all the way to standing, catch your breath here for a few moments and let your body catch up with itself. It's really your blood flow and your nervous system catching up with your body, so that you know you're well grounded, safe, and secure. So either with a good sturdy stick here that's not going to slip away from you on the floor down there, or going to stand behind your chair, stepping your feet out a bit wider. When you do that, you may find you need to angle your toes out a little bit too, because what I'm going to suggest here next is feeling strong and steady as you bend just into your right knee, say 3 times, a little bend, a little more straight, and then back to a feeling of centeredness. Make sure you feel well balanced and centered here first. Find your breath, feel through your strong deep core, and then a little bend into your left knee, out and in. Now, if you have knee issues, or if you know you're stronger on one side than the other, you might find that, say, like my left knee is a little weaker than my right knee, perhaps. And so you might think about putting that stick over there more to the left to help you feel like you've got that strength and stability, really helping you out on that side that might be a little weaker. Maybe you're rehabbing an injury. Those kind of things, and really paying attention to how that knee is tracking. You might want to spend more time on that side. But if both sides are feeling pretty good, why not just do a little rhythmic bend into one side, then straighten, bend into the other side, and then straighten. Keeping doing this rhythmically, or taking a break anytime you need to, coming back to some sense of centered position. Or you could even plant your right foot, maybe even angling your toes out to the right just a little bit more. Those of you staying in the chair, this is also something you can do seated in the chair. Open your right knee out more to the side, plant your foot down there, so your right side is your lunging leg. Your left side can either still be bent and stable, whatever is going to help it out there, or some of you might be lengthening it out more off to the left there into that wide open lunge pose. Again, if you're standing behind your chair, use at least one hand always on the back of your chair. If you are using your stick, decide where would be the best place for it to help you as you might hold this strong open lunge, warrior two lunge. Maybe you feel strong and you can stay a little bit longer to reach your arms out in opposite directions, or maybe just one is, Maybe you could reach your left arm, so if you're lunging in towards your right side leg and you're feeling really strong and steady with that, maybe you could reach up and through, extending through your left side body just a bit more. Don't forget to breathe. And then coming back to your upright, squared off, stable position, taking a few breaths there. Those of you standing, you may even want to come into your more mountain standing position here. Give yourself a break. Maybe you want to move through your ankles, your feet and toes, or do some little marching steps. And then whenever you feel ready, whether you're seated or standing, some of you may have been standing and now you're thinking, oh, I think maybe going into a seated position is going to be better for me as I go forward from here. Listen to and honor your body. So I'm going to now lunge into the left side and finding a real strong steadiness there. Also finding a way that my right leg can be positioned. Maybe you're keeping it bent, and enjoying that kind of same thing that we were doing before. Making sure though you're well planted, and if you have a stick, maybe you want to plant it over there towards the left, so that as you lunge into that knee, even just a little bit, doesn't have to be a deep lunge, you're feeling strong, steady, and very much adhering to the floor beneath you as you might hold this lunge just a little bit longer here, using your props, your hand on the back of the chair. Those of you seated in the chair, you might be a little bit more stable and supported so that you can find your lean sooner and really enjoy any degree of reach. Those of us in the standing position, just make sure you do feel really steady and strong and you're breathing. You can always come out sooner. You can always go back to your chair. When you feel complete, reaching up, maybe you're reaching out in opposite directions with your arms. Maybe you can turn your head to one side or the other, especially those of you seated in the chair doing this. Others just are ready to feel that support, that grounding. Any of your sturdy support props that you have close by, use those as you might come back to a squared off position, mountain pose, marching steps, or possibly a little alternate heel lifting. Okay, so that was a nice standing opportunity there. I would like now to give you the option to either return back down to sitting in the chair, or if you feel ready right from here, you could be using your chair. The stick, I think, may not be as useful, so I would say getting that down off to the side somewhere where it'll be out of the way. And then for those of you that do really want to go down to the ground or into a more horizontal position, use your sturdy support props. Take your time all the way through until you feel like, oh, okay, this is good. Maybe being on hands and knees is not good for you for very long, so taking all the time you need to ease yourself on over and onto your back. Those of you staying seated in the chair, I'm going to ask you to please continue to sit upright, because we're going to all do some version of a figure four or a hip opening pose. So quickly, while I'm here, I will demonstrate where those of you that are wanting to come down onto your back here can lay down on your back, get comfortable, pick up your right leg, move that knee out to the side, let things kind of open up in some way that's truly comfortable for you, changing the angle or whatever you may need to do. Now, you stay put, those of you that are getting situated on the floor. I'm going to come back to my chair to demonstrate the figure four pose that is a seated version, which I like everyone to know about and practice on a daily basis. So we end up sitting a lot more than we do lying down flat on our backs, most of us, most days. And so knowing that this is a really good pose to practice, to get this hip opening, to explore the different angles, because hip mobility is really important for a lot of functional abilities that we need to do every day. So we do have different flexibilities here, but more than that, we have different structures, the way that our hip joints and our pelvis come together and move through their sockets and things is very unique and different for everybody. So exploring what yours is, again, pain-free range of motion. So keep on exploring, playing with what feels like a nice degree of hip opening stretch for you, your right side, so that that outer hip and thigh, maybe into the glutes, maybe even up into that low back area, maybe some inner thigh. Those of you that are seated, if you're not getting much of a stretch, everything is feeling comfortable, you have no pain in your joints, then maybe a little bit of a forward fold could feel good to increase the stretch. You may not need to go very far though. Excellent job. And you're holding or exploring. Maybe too, you're using this body position and ability to find a way that you could squeeze, massage, give some attention to your lower leg, your ankle, your foot, your toes. This mountain sun feels so good. Sound of the river in the background. Feeling your breath, feeling well supported in whatever position you've chosen. So much to appreciate. Some of you may be feeling ready to come on out of that particular hip opening on that side for you. Take all the time you need. And whenever you're ready, you can place that right foot of yours back on down, square off, give yourself any little maneuvers that might help you here feel good, and then ready to move into the opposite side hip opening. So that could be just opening your knee out to the side, supporting it out there, bringing it up a little bit more, maybe all the way to your opposite thigh by the knee, really asking that hip to open out more. But again, depending on your sensations that you're getting here, we don't want to be forcing it, we don't want to overstretch, we don't want to be grinding bone on bone just to try to get your leg to go in a certain position where your structure, your bone structure may just not be able to do that. And that's okay. Keep exploring until we do find what is right. Again, enjoy the exploration, enjoy the holding in a position that feels like, that's my good stretch there. I'm going to stay here for at least 3 full complete breaths. Again, you might have that easy access with your hands to massage, squeeze. Just pay attention to that lower leg, ankle, foot in some way that feels really good to you. Everything that you have going on right now in this moment. Sometimes it helps to bring your mantra, your phrase of affirmation in just to make the point. You are doing awesome right now. You are safe and well supported. You are in your truth. There's so much to be grateful for, to be positive about. Saying that affirmation. Remember, the power is within the repetitions, how many times you say it every day. And my recommendation is 100 times, a minimum of 100 times every day. Maybe you're going to do that all in one sitting at one time, which does not take very long at all. It may sound like a lot, but it really doesn't take very long. Or just spread it out throughout the course of the day. 25 times maybe when you first get up in the morning, great time to get that affirmation in. Another 25 sometime later, around lunchtime, another 25, maybe when you're fixing dinner or doing some afternoon activity. You can do it when you're active, you can do it when you're still, but do it, because there is so much benefit to it. And some of you may be feeling like you're about ready to come out of your hip opening stretch here on this opposite side. When you are, move mindfully, support yourself as needed, and begin to ease your way into that position that you can support yourself even better, and eventually place your other foot back on down to the floor, where once again you will be using the surface beneath you to square off, to make any adjustments in your body that would feel really good. Excellent. And then also a spinal twist of any degree, a gentle spinal twist. For those of you staying in the chair, you want to sit upright nice and tall. So with that feeling of rooted and groundedness through your legs and your hips and pelvis, you can then rotate through your spine as much as is comfortable. Maybe rotating off to your right first, and place your hands in some way that really helps you feel supported and comfortable, staying elongated, breathing. Another great time to move through the neck. Those of you on the floor or in a horizontal position, you're going to keep your upper body stationary. I suggest spreading your arms open wide apart in opposite directions, so this the part of the body stays stationary, and it's actually your pelvis and your legs that are doing a gentle rotation. I might suggest taking your legs over to the left first and taking really full complete breaths, allowing your body to relax and let go even more. And eventually, of course, you're going to slowly unwind and come back to a squared off position, but take all the time you need. These spinal twists for many of us can be extremely nourishing, and we often do get into places that we didn't even know were so tight or sore. So going into it mindfully, being careful not to overstretch or force yourself more deeply into the twist than your body is really able to do on its own without different props or leveraging yourself to go deeper. Just enjoy what your body can do, and then of course you're always coming back to your full complete breaths. You might also be turning your head, feel through this cervical spine, or maybe you're turning your head to face one particular way that feels really nice and soothing and relaxing for your neck. And of course, taking those full, complete breaths. So much to enjoy, so much to appreciate in this moment. And of course, beautiful, complete. And unwinding slowly, letting your body come to that more centered and squared off position. Making any adjustments that you need to, because next we'll be moving into our relaxation for today. But I like to take this process mindfully, step by step, so your body might be asking to do some other positions or stretches in some way or another. Do whatever feels really good to you until your body feels like, okay, this is a good place for me to begin to really find a relaxed place that I can really let go into. So providing more support on your chair and getting as reclined as possible, putting maybe something to put your feet up on, whatever. And then of course, if you're more horizontal, you just bring in those props, the pillow behind your head, a roll of blanket behind your knees. You know what can feel really good to you as you start to settle into your relaxation and meditation for today's practice. once again, thank you all so much for being here with me today. Namaste. It's the Rocky Mountain Way.